video play here for you one time. All right, so excuse me. First thing, we can definitely get a higher leg lift than this. All right. It's barely getting to where we can do stuff with. Okay. Got to get that higher, especially when you're going to see what you got to work on. All right. You do a good job letting the hips start to lead, but then there's no drive. No drive coming from this back leg to get us even further out. We get into a good strong position. This foot's tucked underneath your butt, which is definitely not helping. When you raise your leg up, this foot's underneath this knee, but then you can see what's happening. You're just folding over it a little bit, and now that foot's underneath your butt. It's going to kick out. It's going to kick out. Now your weight's going forward, and you've never driven anything off of this backside. Foot gets in the ground, hips haven't rotated, knees haven't rotated, this front foot's barely rotated enough. This backside has not done anything at all. We're just tall and upright. This shoulder right here to the elbow is already starting to go out, out, out towards first base dugout. So what happens when we land and get into front foot strike here, and our lower half hasn't done any of its rotation or driving, the upper half is going to have to do it for it, which means the upper half now has to rotate the entire lower half instead of the entire lower half rotating and supplying extra power to the upper half to rotate. So now we'll see upper half rotates, lower half rotates with it. And because the lower half didn't rotate first, this front side is going to have to yank and peel out to be able to supply enough power to drag this entire back leg through. So there goes that shoulder. Pull that back side through. Pulling it through. So now you're just spinning in place. Trying to make this throw in the ground. All you're doing is just stepping, not rotating, and then peeling and slinging. Peel it and sling it. All right. Look how fast your glove wants to finish. As soon as your glove starts to swivel right here, see the swivel in your hand? That's the initiating of you wanting to start to finish that glove. And you're starting to finish that glove before it even gets out in front of you. Finishing the glove, peel the shoulder, and just everything going out and spinning around. Okay, we can also see that your hand, like a lot of your teammates, your hand's opening up into external rotation with that ball in it way too early. Already externally rotated. And now it's just going to drag, 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 and get pushed. Drag, get pushed. Dragged, get pushed. Get pushed. Get pushed. All right, we should not be able to see the baseball when it comes out of your hand. We definitely can't see the baseball now. We should not be seeing the baseball now. Still shouldn't be. Now it should be like the first time we see the baseball, when that foot gets in the foot strike. Trying to find someone that's kind of tall like you are. I mean, Bueller's rather tall. That's not a good angle. I don't think this is going to be any better of an angle either. Oh. So maybe we can see it from this backside. Okay, so if we're looking at his backside here, we should be able to see the baseball the whole time. You can see the baseball, we can see the baseball, we can see the baseball, we can see the baseball. And now we're starting to not be able to see it anymore because now when the foot gets into foot strike, the ball is facing third base. This view, right now. But we can see it the whole time from this view. It's always in view. Your wrist is always opened. So let's look at, regardless of their height. Let's go Granky. So let's watch as this ball falls out of his glove. It's the fingers we're seeing. The ball is facing first base. It's not till now that we see the ball. So now he can accelerate out in front with that throw. Shoom. Versus being already here in the foot strike and nothing else happened, and now it's just a spin. All right, so differences in the hands. I can see the top of his hand. I can see the bottom of your hand. Look where his foot's still at. It's underneath his knee. Look where your foot is gone. It's underneath your butt. Where did it start though? Under the knee. Just like his is. Then you tuck it in. Okay. But watch the difference in the lower body here. Watch what this back leg does. Wham. Wham. And he hasn't gotten into the ground yet while he's doing this. His foot's still in the air. Bam. See how those lower body works there? Versus how yours works. Watch what Granky's glove is doing during this. Alright, look what your glove's doing during this. It's just trying to get back out in front towards the target. It's been out towards third so long. Look at the throwing hand of Granky during this. Alright, versus how much action your hand's doing. It's just going straight behind you, opening up, swooping. Okay, so Grinky gets the foot strike right there. His belt buckle facing home. Backside's already fired. Front side's in line with the plate. You getting a foot strike. Boom. Your foot's in the ground. Backside is not fired at all. Hasn't done anything. Hips are still facing here. If you actually wore a belt, belt buckle's here. Not facing home. Front foot, shin, femur is still facing the same direction it always has, not facing the target. You're not using any of your lower body, and you're just swooping your arm back towards first base and then spinning your glove around and letting everything just fling out, getting dragged out because of the fact that we're not doing anything with our lower body. If your lower body doesn't do any work, your upper body has to work so much harder. And if your body has to work so much harder, you're putting way much more stress on this arm. And the more stress you put on this arm, the sooner it's going to give out. The sooner it gives out, the sooner you're no longer valuable as a pitcher. Okay? Got to start using that lower body. Like that two hop station that we had, that was to promote you using that lower body, getting it out, moving those lower parts, rotating, driving, getting aggressive with it. You need to find a way to get those shuffle throws in to be able to force this lower body to start doing the rotation it needs before it gets into the ground, not after it gets in the ground. After that foot gets in the ground, it's too late to try to produce any power with the lower body. Now all that rotation we just created, boom, there, boom, there, boom, there. All the drive we created from starting here and getting to here leads to this power. Versus having to spin. So now you got energy going towards that dude in the yellow back there over your glove side. That's where all your energy's going. And the hand just gets flung out around that. And now it's a crapshoot of where that ball's getting released at to be consistent anywhere. And that's all pitchers need to be, is consistent over and over again, not running risks of it being off by little bits every single pitch.